Today on the King of Real Estate Investor podcast, we have Michelle Bosch, who is the co-founder and CFO of Orbit Investments and a full-time real estate investor since 2002. I'm not going to lie, Cameron, I was blown away by this episode. She is way more than an investor, way more than a real estate investor. She's an incredible entrepreneur. An incredible CEO, and has scaled multiple companies now to 7 figures. I was incredibly impressed. Some huge takeaways for me. What about yourself?
Yeah, same. A lot of golden, nuggets in there of things you can do here and there to really help yourself and your business out. But the key for me was her insight on scaling. Like everybody wants to scale, want to go from here to there and from there to there. And it's like, how do I do it? How much money is it going to cost me? How long is it going to take? She really hammers in on that in fine print detail, which is nice and helpful. I mean, if you're listening and you want to scale and you're failing to scale, or you just feel like you're in over your head, give this podcast a listen, get out a notepad and paper or pen and write some notes down, because there's very tactical steps that she talks about on what you can do if you want to scale out of your business or scale more of your business or scale into another business. I mean, she's great.
I do think what's interesting, we talk about passive income or investing in real estate for passive cash flow, but I think a faster way is to learn how to build businesses and companies that then give you a passive lifestyle, because you can build teams and companies that are supporting a growing company. Mm-hmm. And these are the things that have taken, there's only 2 ways to learn this. You either go through the hard work of banging your head against the wall and failing and learning this and spending money, or you can learn from the experience of folks like Michelle, who've already built 3 companies over the last 20 years. And there's things in here that, man, I'm telling you, because I've learned some of this the hard way, and she's sharing this, and you can hear in my voice how excited I'm getting, because I realize, guys, this is the stuff that's cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of hours to learn this stuff that she's just sharing. And so please, 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 like you just said, take out a notebook and get ready, because this episode is going to blow your mind. So without further ado, let's get Michelle in here. Enjoy the episode, guys. Talk soon. Welcome everyone back to the Kingdom Real Estate Investor Podcast. This is your host, Ellis Hammond, my man, Cameron. Cameron, how we doing?
Hey, my brother. I'm doing well. How are you doing today?
Doing great, man. I excited for this episode. I just love powerful stories, especially of powerful women who actually have came to this country and through faith, through hard work, through diligence, persistence, have created something massive that not just is benefiting them, but benefiting others. And that's who we got on the show today. This is Michelle Bosch. Welcome. How are you?
Thank you so much, Ellis. How are you, Cameron? It's an honor to be here with you both. I'm super excited to just dive in and tell you guys a little bit about, my world and what I'm doing, and, how faith has been a part of our journey every single step of the way.
Yeah, no, me too. And I think what's cool, we have a mastermind in coaching. You've done that as well. So I'm actually just kind of selfishly, I want to know how you guys have built that, what that looks like. It seems like you guys got a really good niche. And we talk a lot about niches on this show and in attracting your core audience. So I'm really curious to hear more about that journey, and just even your take on the real estate market too today, with all things shaping up. And so before I do that, let me just pray for us and ask God to bless our time, and then we'll kind of jump in. Father in heaven, we thank you. Thank you for Michelle. Thank you for the way that you've shaped and guided her in her journey. And I just pray that it would be a blessing to everyone who's listening today, God, that in these times you might encourage us, you might challenge us, you might give us the faith that we need to continue to press on, to overcome hurdles. And so we thank you for this time. I pray this in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Give our listeners a little bit of context of kind of how you came to this country, and let's start there.
Okay, awesome. I'm actually originally from Honduras, Ellis, Central America. In case you don't know where that is, it's one of those tiny little countries, 5 little countries in between North and South America. My husband is actually originally from Germany. We both came here into the US as immigrants, came here to study. That's how we met. Then, we did what everyone else tells you to do, what the American dream should be, which is to go get a job, buy a house. And we started working, for companies that thankfully, were able to sponsor our working visa and then eventually our green cards. But before having our green cards, we were definitely, 3, 4, 5 years into it. And our efforts, our time and energy that we were putting into those corporate jobs, even though, they sounded glamorous and our titles sounded glamorous, our paychecks did not match our time and effort in those jobs. And so we started looking for a side hustle. We started thinking, oh my goodness, back home, my father had purchased a piece of commercial property that had generated income. He actually passed away when I was very young. And that piece of commercial real estate was able to really keep my mother afloat, allowed her to even, be able to send me here to the US and pay for my education. And so I told Jack, why don't we start looking into real estate? And what everyone thinks of when they think of real estate is house flipping or rehabbing a home. That's what comes to most people's minds. So we started looking into that. We had a junker under contract. Granted, we were both 100% travel in our respective jobs. And so it was kind of hard. There were a lot of complications of not having boots on the ground, not being from the US, not knowing how to estimate repairs, how houses are built here and constructed. And there seemed to be quite a bit of hassles with houses. Somehow we stumbled into a property that was a piece of land. We were able to buy it for like $400 up here in Northern Arizona. We go up there, we're putting a stake on the ground, and the neighbor comes out and he says, oh my gosh, I've been trying to get a hold of you. We had just purchased it from the seller. We've been trying to get a hold of you and without success. And we would love to buy it. And if you take $4,000 for it, we would love to add this to our property. And because we had zero negotiation skills, we're like, yeah, we're taking that, because we had it under contract for $400. We had purchased it for $400. So we did that, and it was a quick $3,600. And we were like, oh my gosh, it was like the carrot that, that kept us going. Right. And 4,500 pieces of land later, with an 8-figure land business, about $75,000 in passive income just from land notes alone. I can say that was incredibly transformational to us, which is kind of funny now, considering that we were both not born and raised here, that we kind of reinvented, the American dream using land, even though we were far away from our birthlands, and now this is home. Now we're US citizens. We started that back in 2002. We continued doing that. Land is our little land cash machine, is like we like to call it, because we flip very quickly, or we flip also using seller financing so that we can create some of that passive income. But then, 2009 came around, started investing in single families here in the Phoenix area, then expanded to a couple other markets. And then in 2016, as we have grown as investors, as people, as our faith in ourselves, in our capabilities, in the goodness of others, and the unknown has grown, we have kind of gone up the asset class ladder, if you like to say it that way. And in 2016, we started investing in large multifamily, 100+ units, and land just continues being our land cash machine. And then from that is, I think, where at some point, you have freedom of money, you have freedom of time, you have freedom of relationships, and you start thinking, well, what am I doing here on this earth, And you start thinking about your freedom of purpose. What are you here for, really, truly? I know that, we have been of service to every single seller, to every single buyer. We've created, triple wins in the multifamily space, in the single family space, taking care of our tenant base, creating first-in-class communities, and being of service to, whoever the human has been in front of us. But we felt that there was more, and that's why we started now also teaching. I know you were interested in learning about how we started coaching, and, our expertise has been and has always been, the land flipping. So we do have a coaching company that we consider a legacy. We're on a mission to create 1,000 millionaires from land flipping. And I know that I'm personally here to really raise the prosperity consciousness of the planet using my great work, which happens to be flipping dirt. So that's kind of the story of how real estate has been the most transformational vehicle that we could have ever thought of. And we kind of stumbled into it. There was, of course, a lot of dissatisfaction and pain from being in our corporate jobs that motivated us to start looking, but it was the right path for us.
From a time standpoint, do you spend more, or do you have more capital allocated towards purchasing land or flipping land? In terms of allocation of time and capital, is it more towards multifamily now or land?
So the land is kind of like our cash machine, and that's what we use to create, cash profits. Because yes, you can go and start investing in multifamily right away and start syndicating and leveraging other people's money. That's not how we started. Anything that had to do with something that had improvements when we started 20 years ago was, above our head. So my part, in my journey, it has been the land that has allowed us to create cash profits and passive income. And then we've passed those cash profits into single families and into multifamily to create, what we like to call our balance sheet wealth. So one has been our income statement wealth.
Yep.
The other one is kind of like our balance sheet wealth. And the educational business is our legacy. It's us being able to, recirculate our wealth, not just in finances, but in wisdom and knowledge and capabilities, in courage and strength and faith to others. And so I would say that right now we spend quite a bit of time in the land and in the educational business. And what we've done in the multifamily space is we have just hired about 6 or 7 months ago, 2 acquisition managers that are helping us. We have an asset manager, we have a transactional coordinator, somebody in charge of investor relations, and so on. And Jack and I kind of we split the work of the underwriting and preparing or the financial package to get the project, really closed. But a lot of our time is no longer in sourcing the deals and talking to brokers in the multifamily. In the land business, we also have a head to the horse there. And in the educational business, we just hired also 10 months ago a VP of operations. So we have somebody in the nitty gritty of the everyday. And of course, we're involved quite a bit in that, but now we have people that have gone through our coaching program that are now master coaches that are also relieving us from having to do the one-on-one coaching ourselves. And for us, that's pretty much by design. We now have a daughter, she's 14 years old. Jack and I want to spend much more time with her, especially right now as she's, going through this transition of, her teenage years. And continuing to look out and seizing the opportunities that the market is going to present right now in the multifamily space. So that's in terms of time and money, that's kind of like we bring the cash from one to the next asset class. And that's kind of how we've use people as our number one asset to really help us manage, those 3 lines of business.
So, that's really interesting. I'm glad you said that last line there, because I interview a lot of people and I can tell when someone is just a good entrepreneur and knows how to take the principles of scaling a business from one vertical to another vertical to another vertical. And a lot of what you said, and I think, and this is really interesting as you think about and maybe we just stay here today.
Yeah.
Because I do think this is really important as there's a lot of different people and a lot of different people in different areas of business, but I don't think we talk enough about leveraging the asset of people and having a vision of, I'm starting this company, but the goal is to be passive. The goal, I think, is to leave a legacy. I think about any great company, we read about this in Good to Great, all of the great CEOs of our time leave the company better than when they started, right? There's someone to take over. And so
and there's this word scale, Alice, is thrown around quite a bit. And I think when people talk about scale, what they're normally talking about is scale in terms of scaling your business model, either acquiring more clients in mass or acquiring more deals and sourcing more deals in mass, and so on. But that's just one aspect of scaling. Mm-hmm. Really, the hardest, which has tested every fiber of my being, has been scaling our companies, which is the people, which involves, hiring amazing, talented human beings that, really understand our vision, our mission, buy into it, want to be transformational.
Yeah. So see, now you're talking about language. This is the kind of stuff, this is the next conversation I get excited talking about of how do we scale the people? So let's go back a little bit. How early, so you've done this 3 times now, clearly you've been successful multiple times. So this is going to be good into Cameron. Cameron knows when I get excited. I'm excited. A
lot of people, I already know the questions.
Yeah.
When can I afford to hire somebody? I mean, it's just there.
Well, so like, let's back up a little bit, and I want to know, how early do you start thinking about the scalability of the roles? And I love that distinction of, we're not just talking about scalability in terms of the activity in the business or scaling the portfolio, but the real scale of, honestly, for you to exit out of being the main driver. How early in your companies, and maybe this is different from the first one to your third one, right? But
Wait, a lot of hard knocks.
yeah, but so let's talk about the ideal now that you've learned a lot. Like, how early do you start thinking about that and implementing that? And what does that look like to not just think, but start putting things in place? Like, what happens first?
Okay, so let's start by talking about, any business has 4 stages of growth. There's startup phase, there's build out, there's build up, or build up first, build out, and then, maturity or mastery, and now I can say that in hindsight about my land flipping business, we were basically the people doing all of the production in all 4 stages. And at some point, okay, we really want to blow this up and we want to step out, and it's putting processes in place, bringing people, in, and for us, really, if I was to do this all over again, the very first person I would hire would be a salesperson. And that is going to give you so much freedom, because if all revenue and all sales and all, depend on you, then really your business should be experiencing the exact same freedom that you're having as a human, as a person. Your business should be experiencing that same freedom. And if your business depends entirely on you, it's you're really exchanging hours for dollars. You continue to do that. Yeah. Right. So I would say that that's the first person that I would hire would be a salesperson. Back in the day, it was still Jack and I, talking to both our sellers, to our buyers, talking to title companies, making sure that the transactions were going through, and serving as transaction coordinator, dealing with paperwork and so on and so forth. And so that was our experience back then. And I think it had to do with the fact that I think when we start as entrepreneurs, we start as rugged individualists that do not have faith in the goodness and the great intentions and on the training that you are also capable of doing and giving to others. Yeah. And I almost call it, I almost want to think of it like an extension of faith. It has to start with you. Can I do this? Can I do this one deal? Can I do 20 deals? Can I do 60 deals? Okay, can I now extend this faith to not just me having the courage, the capability, the commitment, and the confidence to do it, but can I now extend the same confidence that I now have in myself to another human? Yeah. And that's when real building of a leader, of another person comes in. And then from that moment on, in our next business, we're like, okay, we're going to do this so much sooner. So in the multifamily space, we've always had a transaction coordinator. The asset manager has been a recent addition. And we had an acquisition manager when we started. And right now we just hired a couple more so that we could divide and conquer, in different regions and the 2 or 3 markets that we want to be in, heavily. And so we started it different. We didn't start doing everything ourselves in that second business. Mm-hmm. And now in the third business, we're like, which is the educational, we're like, okay, we know that it's important to get out of production. We know it is important to also have, a management level. But in this third business, what I have learned is how important it is to have an executive leadership level. And if I could go back to, oh my God, to my first business and my second business, I would have, if I know now, if I could apply what I know now back then, we would have scaled that even faster, and with much more ease and so on and so forth. But what I noticed is right now with the educational business is that by having, this executive leadership, you as the entrepreneur, as the owner, don't have to do a lot of the pushing, that these incredible high caliber executives really pull the organization up.
So let's start. This is like, I can't wait. Let me end the show and figure out more time to talk too, by the way, Michelle. So so we run a coaching company, mastermind company, but I know a lot of folks who do as well, but I've never really considered an executive level in that regard. So let's talk specifically about that. And this, by the way, guys, is a completely selfish question, but it can help you. If you listen to things we're talking about here today, this is really significant. So I hope everyone's paying attention, because if you're serious about growing and scaling a business, It's the same across the board. This is specifically about coaching and masterminds, but guys, the principles are the same. So please pay attention to this. So
They are the same.
talk
Business is
about
business.
exactly 100%. And so let's talk about what this executive team looks like for your coaching and what those roles are and how you form that. I really want to dive into that.
So first, if you're coaching, the very first person that you need to basically find a replacement for is you, if you are the person coaching. So Ellis, if you're coaching, Cameron, if you're coaching, at some point, you're going to bring other people to success, and hopefully because you're coaching them, you're collapsing time, for them, you're really navigating them through the landmines so that they don't step on the landmines, and they're going to basically get to your level much quicker. And for us, this is how we have been able to basically get out of the coaching ourselves, is by bringing other people to success, getting them out of the corporate rat race, and becoming full-time land investors. And what has happened to us is that we have done it in such a way that has been so transformational to them that now they're inspired to do the same for others. And now, people have raised their hands within our coaching program and said, I would love to coach for you. Would you take me? We don't take everyone, because one thing is being a great entrepreneur and being an amazing investor, but another one is actually being able to deliver and coach a person and teach them what you know. Yeah. So that's the very first, I think, in terms of scalability and getting yourself out, in a coaching company is really being of service and devoting yourself to really bring others to success first, because that is, number one, going to allow you to have an amazing testimonial and allow you to possibly bring somebody on board that, in their free time, because now they're really experiencing freedom of money, time, and relationships, wants to devote a percentage of their time to come back and give back and bless others, with the freedoms that they're experiencing. And so that's number one in the coaching company. Then, and then if you are trying to acquire new clients, acquire new coaching students, you're gonna have a sales division as well, a sales and marketing division. In this world that we live on right now, it's gonna have to involve, in the marketing aspect, it's gonna involve copywriter, digital marketer, video person, your ability to understand paid traffic, organic lead gen, and so on and so forth, in terms of sales and marketing. And you're going to want to have, a person that understands your program really well, that understands the transformation that you're offering for people really well, so that they can really be a spokesperson and an ambassador for you. And that can really, at the end of the day, have a closing conversation with somebody that is thinking about really changing their life. And it's not an easy decision. The prospect that you have on the other line, they're probably going to make 2 or 3 big decisions in their life. And number one is going to be who they're going to marry, the home that they're going to purchase. And number 3, this incredible investment that they're going to make in themselves to really change their life. So if you find, the people that really understand that and that don't take that lightly, that and that really want to serve and know that, on the other end, once they have, acquired a new coaching student for you, there's going to be a coaching division that is going to take care of them, that is going to go all animal, that is all in on them, rain, shine, whatever is happening in the world, that they're going to be there for that person. They're going to be able to sell with conviction. They're going to be able to help you scale your business. The person that is marketing for you is going to be able to do the same. So for us, it's been finding basically the people that at that level are going to be doing a lot of the production, whether it be sales, marketing, coaching, even IT. Yeah. Because we offer also a software. There's not a whole lot of people. We're kind of like very different, Ellis and Cameron. We're like this hidden gap in the real estate market, and we think different. Not everyone is attracted to land. Let's put it that way. So we couldn't find a software that did exactly what we needed to do in order to to follow deal flow. So we just developed our own proprietary software. So we have an IT division as well within our educational business. And then we realized, okay, we were still managing all of these people. And to be frank, you can only manage really, really well underneath you 5 to 7 people. When you have more than 5, people, it starts getting nutty. And so you're going to have somebody that is, your manager in sales, the person that is going to be doing, one-on-one huddles with every single person in your sales team every single day. You're going to need in marketing the person that is going to be doing all the scheduling, planning of promotions, email management, and so on and so forth. On the coaching division, you're going to have, pod leaders and a head coach probably that is helping you, making sure that the latest and greatest of innovation is being brought to the coaching student, that if a coaching student needs an intervention, because they're stuck, whether it be an actual strategy that they're stuck on or mindset wise that they're stuck on, that they're able to basically, surround that person with support, with 360-degree support. And you're going to have that second layer then of people managing the people below. Yeah. And then once you have that management level, you'll still have, 6 or 7 heads now up there that you're still wanting to manage. And now you're going to need another level. And for us, it's been a VP of operations, a VP of marketing and sales, and a VP of education. So 3 heads.
So let me ask you this. This is excellent. So Ellen, you're on the 3rd one and you've realized you need all these things and you know how to acquire leads and you know how to, you figured all that out over the first 2, you're in the coaching. I'm curious to know, did you prove out a revenue model first and then kind of use your growing revenue to bring this on? Or knowing that you already knew this was coming, did you begin to kind of put this team together and then scale that way? I'm just curious on now.
So,
you know what I'm saying? Like now that you're in the 3rd
so
one,
I want
want
to say that we first needed. We are fully bootstrapped. We don't have any debt. We don't have any outside investors. This is a business where Jack and I basically at the beginning, because we didn't know what we know now, we're following what a lot of people are out there are doing, which is creating a course, which is great. It's amazing. But for most people, it'll become shelf-help. Right. And out of our own frustration of seeing how many people, would buy a course, which is a complete course, we don't hold anything back, but because they don't have the accountability and the human intervention, like success, Ellis, is not a natural journey. Success is filled with you having to muster the courage to overcome an obstacle, having the faith to walk into an unknown, and so on and so forth. And sometimes when we don't have that faith ourselves, we need to borrow it from others. Yeah. And so for Jack and I, we knew that we couldn't continue just pushing out there, courses when we knew based on our stats that 80% of the people never even open a wrapper sometimes, or even log in, to actually consume the content. And so for us, at some point, we decided, what, we're going to do the opposite of what everyone else is in the industry doing, which is they're trying to scale a course and sell as many courses as possible. And we're going to put this on its head. And instead of trying to give you the least possible to make the most, we're going to give you the most possible chance of success. And that's how our flagship program of a 12-month coaching program really was born, from us wanting to not just have an opinion about what's wrong in the industry, but wanting to become peerless by actually bringing to the marketplace a solution that we knew would work. Yeah. So we started the 12-month coaching program. We divide actually that coaching program in 90-day sprints that are pretty much mirroring the phase of a business, the startup phase in the first 90 days, their build out in the second 90 sprint, your build out and your mastery in the last quarter of being in coaching with us. And so from that, because coaching is incredibly intensive, human intensive, it is usually sold at a higher price point. So now that we have been able to establish ourselves, in terms of being able to produce amazing results for our students, I can now perhaps think about, again, going out there and conquering new worlds, for example, on social media and becoming an influencer and getting people a little taste of, of success with 1 or 2 deals with a course. But we basically started it originally like that, but we're like, no, this is not the way to go. I would love to, really not just be successful because I'm selling really well, but I want to be successful because these people are having incredible results, are not camera shy about coming on a testimonial interview with me, about shouting it from the roofs, about becoming affiliate partners inside of our ecosystem in our community, and bringing family members and referrals, and to a certain time, up until a certain time, our growth was really from just doing a good job in terms of bringing results to people, and then just referring others. That's kind of like how we have grown. That's why, you're not going to see us with 1 million followers on TikTok, or even though we just started right now, playing and dabbling in that space, and so on and so forth. But it's come from, putting our heads down and using a lot of mental energy and a lot of hours into redesigning and designing a program that we knew, makes us sleep well at night, and that we know at the end of the day is going to do what we want to do, which at the end of the day is, I want to raise the prosperity consciousness of the planet with my great work. And in order to do that, I have to give the best of me. And I always think of, money, and I even teach that to my daughter, money. What is money, Sophia? There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing bad about it. And there's nothing positive about it. It's like neutral. It's why you're doing it that's going to give charge to money. And always think of money that if you have money, it's because you've gone through a lot of difficulty, a lot of sacrifices, a lot of lessons, a lot of hard knocks, in life, but you've had also a lot of victories and triumphs and success. And so money has really the best of you in it. So treat it properly, treat it, with respect, and treat other people's money with respect, especially when they entrust you with, like I said, we're not cheap because it's a 12-month coaching program with a high price point, and give the best of you. So that's kind of like has been our philosophy in terms of like the scaling. It's first we were doing all the coaching ourselves, then we brought a lot of people to success, they became coaches, then we started, okay, we cannot be the ones always that are going out there and doing a webinar to try to create, a sale. Can we bring in a sales team, a marketing team, then head, managers, and then, 3 people on top. And at some point, both Jack and I want to also step out completely. Right now, he's still acting as COO. I'm CEO in the educational space, but our day-to-day involvement is not, as it was when we first started the educational business, slowly, and so on.
And I think, and there's so many important lessons. By the way, I just love your story. Like I'm gonna tell everyone about you. I think you should create more content on the internet, because I don't see you enough on my Instagram feed.
Yeah.
So like
I need to. Like I said, I need to start learning how to speak in sound bites and getting myself out there.
Like you got to take a breath every now and then and like create some more content on the internet, because like you're fantastic, by the way.
Thank you.
So I just love your story, but I also to kind of pull some lessons out of that, because you said a lot today, is what you've done. It looks like you've done this across all your businesses. And I think it's a great place to scale for everyone listening, is you have created a great product that works. And if you're going to scale something, there's a lot of talk about scaling, but if you don't have a good product and offer that doesn't replicate success, it's hard to scale anything, no matter how good you're at. So first, you've always created a good product, land, multifamily, nail coaching that works. Yeah. And when you can replicate your results, right, that's most important. It's just like if you're in the multifamily syndication business, if you can replicate returns for investors,
exactly, for investors, and be great stewards of their money, absolutely,
100%. And then you can begin to scale on top of that. It's the same thing with our coaching business. We have results, we're buying deals, we can replicate how to raise money, how to find deals, and then as more people learn that, they can teach that, right? And then you can kind of begin to step more, you could, because the whole goal, and I think in any business, is you're good at one thing, right? Like for me, I'm good at raising money, talking with investors, but if I can't replicate my results, if I can't create systems and processes that allow other people to do the same thing, my business will never grow. So I can't stay there. I have to figure out how to replicate those results, step out of that role, and move on to the next thing. Yeah. And eventually, as you become CEO or begin to act like a CEO, you're beginning to replicate business. You're beginning to replicate. I mean, the one thing that I think most CEO you can't replicate is, thinking. Like there's that's the ultimate goal, I think, of the CEO, is to only get paid for thinking. And
Yes.
once you get to that, it's
and anticipating what's coming your way around the corner months before, so that, now we have a team of 86 people across 3 lines of businesses. I am responsible for 86 families.
Yeah.
I need to be able to anticipate what's coming and already be working on, projects that are going to accelerate and bring us to the next level of growth. And at the same time, having people underneath me that are stabilizing that growth. Usually I want to say, a CEO is pretty visionary and strategic, and is not about a whole lot of efficiencies, and innovation is messy. There's chaos. It's, when you're innovating, it's like those two things. Usually you don't find those two things in one person, is what I'm trying to say. And so you need to look at, and have some self-awareness and realize, okay, what is my unique genius? What, like you just said, your unique genius is in fundraising. And so assemble a team around you that have a unique genius in the other areas in which you're weak, versus you trying to do it all yourself.
How many millionaires have you created, Michelle?
Oh my gosh. So we have right now we started 3 years ago, already starting to measure. But prior to that, we were not measuring it, but we are very close. We're like at around 720 something, people that have gone through our program and that have already basically amassed a net worth of $1 million just from doing land flips, whether those be cash profits or basically a note balances because they've sold their land on terms using, seller financing, them capturing a down payment that almost offsets what they paid for the property. And then, people making monthly payments every single month, for the duration of the note, whether it be 5, 10, or 15 years. So whether it be in note balance, basically in accounts receivable or notes receivable, or in cash. We're not thinking that, that now our mission needs to actually grow bigger, that we need to start thinking bigger about that, because
you're almost at 1,000.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
At the end of this year.
And that's where
goals up, Michelle. They're too small. What are we talking?
And that's where, again, faith comes into place. Can I think about now, instead of, just bringing somebody, to that 7-figure mark, can I replicate now an 8-figure mark, for, 500 individuals? Could we bring them, to that? And perhaps that's the next step. At the
same time, though, I mean, here's what I would say is I listen to you more. I mean, 7-figure, 8 figures. Yeah, I mean, that would be cool. But I think too, what I think is more impressive about you, that I think is you could replicate, is not just how to help people increase their net worth, but you clearly are a great entrepreneur and you've learned how to lead others. I think if you can replicate that into other people, then they can go into whatever vertical they want and be successful. And I think that's probably the thing that I've learned, that's, and you realize this because now once you understand these principles and you learn how to build people and raise up people, build businesses and raise up people, then you're like, you're dangerous in the sense that like you control your own economy. Right. But because if I only teach people how to invest multifamily,
you make your own economy. Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm just kind of speaking, encouragement to you. I'm like, there's a power in you in that you know how to grow and develop people. Man, that is, I think, an area of like, how do I help people build their own businesses, their teams, step out of that. So there's really something there too, which I would love to hear you speak more on. I think that's a great.
I'm actually having a presentation next week. I don't know when this is going to be, the recording is going to be released,
probably not next week.
But I'm speaking at InvestorCon. I'm sharing actually the stage with Kim Kiyosaki and a handful of other amazing women in real estate. Amazing. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Team building, basically building a multi-million-dollar team, because you're right. That is really, I think, for all entrepreneurs, what would allow them to unlock the next level of freedom, because the American dream is no longer, in my opinion, the picket fence with the 2.5 kids living in the suburbs. The American dream right now is really time freedom. And that cannot be done without an amazing team that is performing at a high level. That's another thing. One thing is building a team, but then building a high performance team is a completely different story. That's where, like I said, I have been tested at every corner, at every cell of my being. And it's been amazing growth for me as a person, as well as a leader, considering that I didn't set out, when I was completely unhappy in my job, to become one. I'm an accidental leader, really, that one day woke up and looked behind and people were following. So
Michelle,
you're right.
I'm a huge fan. I just want you to know, guys, Michelle and I had never met before, it's first time, but I just tell you what, there's a lot that I'm just excited about knowing you, and I look forward to figuring out ways we can do more things together, and excited to share stages. And
I'd be happy to also, any help that I can give and I can be of service to you, so that you can in turn bring more people, through your masterminds and through your, coaching program, and get them to really unlock their potential in a new level of freedom. I'm here for you. I'd be happy to.
I see a couple websites we have here, but I mean, clearly I just, your Instagram, guys, if you're not following her, I'm sure looks like most times if you just search up
Michelle Bosch official is what I'm on Instagram, Michelle Bosch, on TikTok, on Facebook. But if you go, we usually every 6 to 7 weeks, we offer a free 5-day masterclass. If you go to landprofitmaster.com, you can register for our upcoming one, or you can go to landprofitgenerator.com and, take a free class there as well, and learn a little bit more about, who I am, who Jack is, who our team of, the top 1% really of land investors across the country are, and not just what ninjas they are in the land space, but the amazing human beings from a heart-centered, perspective they are, in terms of wanting to give back and really build others as well.
Landprofitmaster.com.
Yeah, Landprofitmaster. Because I know that I'm in 3 lines of business, but I'm going to say one thing. If I can say and put this last words in, is like, we all as entrepreneurs suffer from entrepreneurial ADD. You need to master one thing, do that well, put a head to the horse, and only until then you move on to the next thing.
I couldn't agree more.
My boy Jordan Rayner's got a good book on that called Master of One. Check it out, Jordan Rayner.
Yes, absolutely. It's focus. It allows you to really simplify, to be able to multiply, because if you're basically diluted in your time and efforts across 3 completely different things, where you don't have heads to that horse, or you're doing everything yourself in 3 different things, you kind of like advance 1 inch and you never see those wins, the windfalls, that widespread increase that, that we are promised. You don't see it because your energy is diluted.
100%. The thing that took my company to 7 figures was when I realized I had too many channels, too many avatars, and too many products. And I said, I'm going to pick one avatar. I'm going to have one product, and I'm going to have one channel. And that move right there took me from a 10K company to a 100K plus company per month. And I cannot, what she just said is so important, guys. If you're under a 7-figure company a year, the answer is simplification. It's simplifying to do. I do one thing. I have one avatar, one channel, one avatar, one product. Like, that's it. It's like, don't complicate it. And I think what is so true in your journey, you started with one, you did that, then you did the second thing, and then the third thing. It's like, but you didn't start all that at the beginning. And so I think that's really, really key. And I think that's really important to emphasize. So thanks for sharing that.
No, my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me both. And like I said, I'd be happy to help you out in whatever endeavors you guys are doing, in terms of like helping you understand, the lessons that we've learned, from having, this really customer centric coaching business model that, you know, entitles a master coach, a land expert, an accountability partner to surround somebody with 360-degree support so that we could have the results that we're having right now. So
I
I'd
love
be
what
happy
you're
to
doing.
help. Yeah.
Well, thank you again. I look forward to speaking more and finding some opportunities to share your story with a broader audience. So thanks again.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me, Alice. Thank you so much. It was great meeting you, Cameron, too. Bye-bye.
Yeah, likewise.
Bye.